Welcome to the Dermatology Studio with Dr. Yusra Ayaz.
It's a moment pretty much every new parent goes through. You're changing your baby, and bam, there it is. A new rash, a weird little bump, some kind of dry patch. Your heart does a little flip, right? Well, it's super common, and today we're going to sort through it all.
So you gotta wonder, why? Why is an infant's skin, which seems so perfect and soft, also a magnet for all these different conditions? What is actually going on?
Well, it really boils down to two big things. First, their skin barrier is, still a work in progress. And second, their little immune system is just figuring out what's a friend and what's a foe. This vulnerability, totally normal. So think of this as your field guide for figuring out what you might be seeing.
Okay, let's break this down. First up, we're talking about inflammatory conditions. Now, the main thing to get here is that these are reactions, not infections. They are not contagious, so you don't have to worry about them spreading from person to person.
Right off the bat, we've got some heavy hitters. You've probably heard of cradle cap, those yellowish, kind of greasy scales on a baby's scalp. A close cousin is seborrheic dermatitis, which is that redness you see in chubby neck folds. And then there's atopic eczema. This one's a chronic on-again, off-again rash that often kicks off on the face in a pattern that looks almost like a ski mask.
All right, let's head down to the diaper zone. Your standard napkin dermatitis is just an irritation rash, and here's a fun fact, it actually spares the deepest skin folds. Now, a much more severe version, jaquette dermatitis, can cause these punched-out ulcers, but thankfully it's pretty rare these days. And this last one is a real cautionary tale, infantile gluteal granuloma. Those reddish-brown bumps can actually be caused by going overboard with strong steroid creams.
Now, for a few conditions that have really unique looks. Infantile psoriasis, for example, often shows up first in the diaper area and can be a sign of adult psoriasis down the road. Then there's parakeratosis pustulosa, which is super specific. It's inflammation right at the tip of a finger or toe, and sometimes the nail even sheds. And infantile acropustulosis? That's all about these recurring itchy blisters right on the edges of the palms and soles.
To wrap up this section, let's talk about skin tone and reactions. Psoriasis alba creates these light-colored patches on the face that you don't really feel, and urticaria, or hives, is fascinating in babies. A lot of the time, it's actually triggered by an infection, not an allergy, and that deep swelling under the skin, called angioedema, happens pretty often with it.
All right, time to shift gears into our second big category, infective conditions. Now, these are the ones caused by germs, viruses, bacteria, fungi, and yeah, they can be contagious.
Let's start with three of the most classic childhood viruses. Rosella has a telltale pattern. A really high fever suddenly breaks, and then this fine, lacy rash appears. Fifth disease gives that unmistakable bright red, slapped cheek appearance. And hand, foot, and mouth disease is, well, it's pretty much what it sounds like. Painful little blisters on the hands, feet, and in the mouth.
Okay, here's a really great way to tell two famous rashes apart, chickenpox and measles. With chickenpox, you see everything at once. New spots, blisters, and scabs all mixed together. But with measles, all the spots look the same, and the rash starts on the head and works its way down. It's a key difference.
Let's talk bacteria. Impetigo is super contagious and has this classic honey-colored crusty look. Then there's Staphylococcus scalded skin syndrome, which is a serious condition where the skin actually peels. Ouch! Blistering distal dactylitis is that big blister you see on the pad of a finger. And finally, perianal dermatitis is that bright, beefy red rash right around the anus, typically from strep.
And rounding out our tour of infections, we have fungi and parasites. Candidiasis is a yeast infection that just loves warm skin folds. Tinea, also known as ringworm, makes those classic ring-shaped rashes. Scabies is caused by tiny mites and is incredibly itchy, especially on the palms and soles. And finally, molluscum contagiosum. This is a virus that causes these unique, pearly little bumps with a tiny dimple right in the center.
Phew! Okay, that was a ton of information. So now, let's just zoom out and lock in some of the most important takeaways from everything we've just covered.
So first things first, let's be clear on our terms. When we're talking about infancy for all of this, we mean a very specific window, from day 29 of life all the way up to that first birthday.
Here's a great clinical pearl. In adults, psoriasis can be anywhere. But in infants, the #1 presentation is actually in the diaper area, what we call napkin psoriasis. Also, unlike adults, joint problems with psoriasis at this age are extremely rare.
This is probably the question on every parent's mind. How long does this stuff stick around? Well, the roseola rash is quick, gone in about 2 days. Hand, foot, and mouth, about 3 days. Fifth disease can hang on for about a week. And that weird fingertip inflammation? That one resolves on its own, but it takes its sweet time. We're talking 6 to 12 months.
Now, when it comes to hives in babies, they play by different rules. Check this out. That deep swelling, angioedema, happens in a whopping 60% of cases. And get this, in half the cases, the hives can actually look bruised. And it turns out about 50% of these infants have a history of things like eczema or allergies. And here's a really fascinating shift in food allergies as kids grow. In that first year of life, the #1 culprit is cow's milk, then eggs, then wheat. But watch this. In the second and third years, egg jumps to the #1 spot and peanuts suddenly appear in the top 3. That's a huge shift to know about.
So there you have it. We've just walked through more than 25 different skin conditions. From simple reactions to viruses, bacteria, and fungi, each one really does tell its own unique story on a baby's skin.
And that brings me to the single most important point of this entire explainer. This is a guide to help you understand what's out there. It is not a tool for you to diagnose at home. If you see something new, something that worries you, the only right move is to talk to a healthcare professional. Period. So I'll leave you with this question. You now have a much better map of the wild world of infant skin. So, knowing all this, what is the single most powerful, most important thing you can do the next time you spot something unfamiliar on your child's skin?
Thanks for watching. Hit like, share, and subscribe to the Dermatology Studio. Ask your skin queries in the comments below.